When you're having a new pool installed, pretty much everybody comes to the table with the plan. Look, we want to have a waterfall or a water feature or a sheer descent or something like that. You know, you only build a pool one time and you really want the one that you want, and it's got to have all the bells and whistles. Waterfalls are the first thing that I'm trying to convince somebody, you know what, let's reallocate that budget towards something else. You're not really going to get the use out of it long term. Let's talk about why. Well, the first thing about waterfalls, they kind of tend to leak a lot. You know, a swimming pool is kind of a refined building process for swimming pool builders, and waterfalls aren't something that every pool gets, and certainly every person building waterfalls isn't really at the same skill level doing it. They can leak a lot in terms of the plumbing in the short term. In the long term, you can develop leaks from settling. You know, the typically speaking, a natural stone or concrete waterfall, they weigh a lot. You got to support those things with sonotubes, and not everyone does that. And they can definitely sink and leak more over time. And further to that, they can be, hard to drain or winterize. Let's say you live in an area that gets cold, and people don't really build them with drainage and winterization in mind, and they can kind of trap water in weird ways, and they can definitely fail as a result of that over cold winter seasons. So that's something that I'm thinking about right away is, are you installing this waterfall in an area that gets a lot of freezing weather? Right away I'm like thinking maybe you should pass on the waterfall. And there's a couple of other reasons that you should think of that as well. Like when you're building a new pool, there's a lot of money being spent. A waterfall doesn't really provide a lot of day-to-day use like you think it does, but most of the time it's just sitting there dormant. While it's sitting there dormant, all of the water that's in the plumbing lines feeding it and any bowls of water that are part of this water feature, they're just sitting there stagnant, and they're collecting bacteria, and it's turning green and red and all that. And then when you turn it on next, it just dumps all that directly into your pool. And that's kind of my next point, is that waterfalls are terrible for swimming pool chemistry. Whether it's a natural stone or some sort of concrete, there's going to be minerals from that are going to leach out constantly into the water, and you're going to have efflorescence and scale running down the wall next to where this waterfall dumps into the pool. And it just tends to not look good. It takes a lot of maintenance, and water falling into the pool actually increases your pH. So if you ran your waterfall all the time, your pH is going to constantly be through the roof. And just the sum total of that is, when you're installing a new pool and you're trying to cut costs, definitely look at removing the waterfall. It's something that long term just doesn't get the use. There's a lot of negatives for the pool in terms of the water chemistry, and ultimately it's just a prone leak hazard, and something that you could just avoid altogether and reallocate those funds into something more useful for your pool. If you found this information helpful, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you can check out my website, swimmingpoolsteve.com.